There are 12 bills sitting in your mailbox right now that you are legally allowed to stop paying, reduce, or get reimbursed for the moment you turn 65, and most people never claim a single one of them. Not because they're hidden, not because they're illegal or some kind of loophole. They're sitting in plain sight, written into law, funded and waiting, and the only reason they go unclaimed year after year is because nobody ever sits down and reads them out loud to you in order. That's what we're doing right now. 12 bills, 12 chances to keep money that is already yours. And the 12th one, the very last item on this list, is the one that quietly makes every other item on this list actually work. Skip it, and you could technically qualify for everything else here and still lose thousands of dollars a year without realizing it. So stay through to the end. Here's the shape of the next few minutes. We're going to go bill by bill. What it is, who actually qualifies, exactly where you go to claim it, and the one mistake that causes people to walk right past it. No sales pitch, nobody's selling you insurance, nobody's asking for your card number. This is money and coverage you already paid into across a working life, sitting there under your name, waiting for you to ask for it by name. Let's start with the biggest one. The one that quietly drains more from retirees than almost anything else on this list. Bill number 1 is your Medicare Part B premium. Every month, before your Social Security deposit even lands in your account, the government pulls out roughly $200 to cover Part B. Over a year, that's close to $2,400 gone before you've paid for a single doctor's visit, a single prescription, a single anything. What almost nobody realizes is that a set of programs collectively called the Medicare Savings Programs can have your state pay that entire premium for you every single month permanently for as long as you remain eligible. People assume they earn too much to qualify. Most of the time, that assumption is years out of date. The real income thresholds are higher than people expect, and couples get even more room. You apply through your state's Medicaid office, and if you qualify at the higher tier, it doesn't stop at the premium. It can wipe out your deductibles and your co-pays too. That's bill number 1, gone. Bill number 2 is your prescription drug spending, and this is where 2026 changed the math entirely. For the first time, there's a hard ceiling on what you pay out of pocket for covered medications under Medicare Part D. Once your spending crosses that ceiling in a calendar year, your plan covers the rest at no cost to you for the remainder of the year. A few years ago, that ceiling didn't exist at all. People on specialty medications were paying $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a year out of their own pocket. That number has been falling every year since, and this year it sits at a fraction of what it used to be. You don't apply for this one, it's automatic, your plan tracks it. But here's what most people miss entirely. If your income is limited, a program most people have never heard of can knock your premiums and co-pays down to almost nothing long before you'd ever hit that ceiling. It's worth calling Social Security directly and asking about it by name. Now let's pause here for a second because I want you to notice something. We're only 2 bills in and we've already covered thousands of dollars a year. Stick with me, because bill number 3 is the one I've personally watched cost families the most money over an entire retirement, and it's sitting in almost every mailbox in the country. Bill number 3 is your property tax. Nearly every state has a senior break built into its property tax code, and it goes by a different name depending on where you live. Some places freeze your home's taxable value the year you turn 65. So even as the neighborhood gets more expensive around you, your bill simply stops climbing. Some places knock a flat amount straight off your total. Some let you defer the whole thing, owing nothing now, settled quietly later. You claim it at your county assessor's office, and it's usually a single short form. Here's the catch that costs people the most money on this entire list. In many counties, you have to renew this every so often, and if you don't, it silently expires and your full bill comes roaring back with zero warning. So call your county, ask for the senior exemption by name, and ask one specific question. Does this need to be renewed, and how often? Bill number 4 is the extra deduction you unlock the moment you turn 65, stacked directly on top of the standard deduction everybody already gets. Most people never adjust anything on their return to reflect it. and their tax preparer, if they even have one, sometimes misses it too. On top of that, for a limited window of tax years, there's a separate and much larger additional deduction available specifically for people 65 and older, phasing out only once your income crosses a fairly high threshold. Stack these together and you're looking at thousands of dollars of income the government simply stops taxing. You don't need to itemize for any of it. It applies automatically once your return is filled out correctly, which is exactly the thread running through this entire list. None of this helps you if the paperwork isn't done right, and we're going to solve that problem completely by the time we get to the end. Bill number 5 is a credit almost nobody has heard of, claimed on a specific IRS form aimed squarely at people 65 and older with modest incomes. I want to be precise about a word here, because it matters. A deduction lowers the income you're taxed on. A credit comes directly off the tax you actually owe, dollar for dollar, and that makes it a far more powerful tool. For the people this credit fits, someone living mostly on Social Security plus a small pension, it can erase their federal tax bill entirely. It goes unclaimed constantly because it's tucked away on a form even some paid preparers rush past. Ask for it by name and make sure whoever does your taxes actually checks the box. We're at the halfway point now, and if you've been keeping a running total in your head, you already know this adds up to real money. But the next few bills are the ones that protect your day-to-day life, not just your tax bill, and they're just as easy to miss. Bill number 6 is your groceries. If you're on a limited income, you may qualify for food assistance loaded onto a card you use at any grocery store. Here's where seniors constantly talk themselves out of applying. They do quick math, assume they earn slightly too much, and never submit the paperwork. But a household with someone over 60 is allowed to subtract out-of-pocket medical costs, premiums, co-pays, prescriptions from the income this program counts. So someone spending a few $100s a month on medical care can look like they earn too much on paper and still qualify once those costs get subtracted out properly. Apply through your state's benefits office even if you think you're right on the line. Bill number 7 is your heating and cooling bill, and for someone on a fixed income, this one isn't a luxury, it's a safety issue. This program helps cover utility costs and in many states offers emergency assistance if a furnace fails in the dead of winter. Older adults are treated as a priority group. The one thing to know is that funding runs in blocks, so applying early in the season matters, because in some places the year's money runs out before the season does. Bill number 8 is your phone and internet bill. There's a program still quietly running that knocks a meaningful amount off your monthly bill, and even more if you live on qualifying tribal land. You typically qualify automatically if you're already enrolled in food assistance or Medicaid, which is worth noticing, because several bills on this list open the door to each other once you claim the first one. We're deep into this list now, past the halfway mark, and I promised you the 12th item ties everything together. We're getting there. But first, 3 more bills that quietly protect your health and your everyday spending. Bill number 9 is dental, vision, and hearing. The 3 things original Medicare famously refuses to cover, and the 3 things that drain a retiree's savings faster than almost anything else on this list. A single set of dentures, 1 pair of glasses, a pair of hearing aids, can easily run into the thousands combined. If you're on a Medicare Advantage plan, most now include a yearly allowance for exactly these 3 categories, and people simply forget they have it. Call your plan and ask directly what your dental allowance, vision allowance, and hearing allowance are for this year, and use it before it resets, because it typically does not roll over. Local senior centers and nearby dental schools often provide the same services for free or close to it. Bill number 10 is a grab bag, and it adds up faster than people expect. Nearly every transit system in the country offers a reduced or free fare for seniors, but you have to ask for the card and carry it. Most major banks offer a senior checking account with no monthly fee and no minimum balance, but they will not switch you over automatically because the fee is part of how they make money. And then there's the simplest habit on this entire list, the one that pays you back for the rest of your life. At the pharmacy, the hardware store, the movies, The restaurant down the street. Get in the habit of asking 4 words. Do you offer a senior discount? A surprising number of businesses do, and almost none of them advertise it. Bill number 11 is a second monthly check most people don't even know exists. If you're 65 or older with very limited income and very limited savings, a program called Supplemental Security Income can pay a meaningful monthly amount, and it stacks directly on top of a small Social Security check. In most states, getting approved for this automatically opens the door to Medicaid, which loops you straight back into the free dental, vision, and hearing coverage we just talked about. Don't talk yourself out of applying because you assume you make too much. Let them make that determination, not you. And now, bill number 12, the one I told you to wait for. Think back through everything we just covered: the extra deduction for turning 65, the bigger senior deduction, the credit on that specific IRS form. Every single one of those only helps you if your tax return actually captures it correctly, and you don't need to pay a preparer $200 or $300 to make that happen. There are free programs staffed by trained, certified volunteers who prepare returns from start to finish at no cost, specifically built around the situations retirees face. You don't need to belong to any organization to use them. They exist in libraries, community centers, and senior centers nationwide, and they are the single most underused resource on this entire list. These are the people who know how to find and claim every credit we just named. Use this one and everything else on this list gets filled in correctly. Skip it, and you could qualify for all 11 other bills and still leave money sitting on the table because nobody caught it on paper. So here's what to actually do with the next hour, not the next year. Call your county assessor and ask about the senior property tax exemption and ask whether it needs to be renewed. That single call protects the largest number on this entire list. Call your state's Medicaid office and ask about the Medicare savings programs, because that one functions like a permanent monthly raise. And before tax season arrives, book a free appointment with one of those certified volunteer tax programs and bring this list with you, item by item, and ask them to check every single one. None of this is a handout. You paid into every one of these programs across a lifetime of work, in taxes, in payroll deductions, in premiums, year after year, decade after decade. This is simply the part where you collect what you already earned. The system was never designed to call you and remind you. Nobody's job is to track you down and hand this to you. You have to raise your hand and ask for it by name, and the 12 items on this list are exactly the names to ask for. If someone in your life turned 65 and is quietly paying full price for every single one of these, this is the video to send them, because nobody is ever going to call and tell them either.